All right, guys, we're doing a special interview. We've been wanting this guest on for a long time. It's Des White. He's an author, and we're going to be talking about Focus and Following, his first book, and then just talking about life in general. So, Des, thank you very much for coming on. How you doing today, man?
I'm great, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, man, it's been a pleasure. And like I said, we've been planning this for, months. And
I think first, before we start talking about the book, we should describe how we met Des.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, Des is very familiar with our first sponsor, Dickey's Barbecue. Actually is a pit master. So talk to me about that, Des.
Yep.
Where would you rate your skills with a knife?
Oh, man. Well, like I say, I like to chop it up, man, as often as I can. My barbecue skills are par none, dude. Barbecuing's a fun thing to get into, man.
Yeah, would you consider, I mean, obviously you're an author, but would you consider cooking an art?
You know what? It's funny you say that, because I was just thinking, everywhere has barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Korean barbecue, Japanese barbecue, and everywhere has art. So it is almost like the artistic representation of food.
It is,
you know?
man. And you do a hell of a job at it, man.
Hey.
You do a hell of a job at it.
Yeah,
people are pleased, man, when you're there. And but yeah, that's how we met Des. And It's funny, Des has a history of he's had a lot of jobs. He worked at AMR. I mean, you've done a lot of things in your life, man. And that's what we want to kind of talk about is, first of all, you're an author. How did you get into writing, really?
Well, you know, I started writing kind of casually all my life. I really took it serious when I was about 18. You know, everyone has their thing, you know. There's a lot of creative people out there, and I was never really a painter or a musician or anything like that. And mind you, I've been around creative people all my life, you know. So I always wanted to, like, find my niche.
Okay.
You know, and I draw a lot of inspiration from, you know, I'm a huge nerd myself, dude. I read all the fucking time. And, you know, I kind of started getting into freestyling a lot. So,
as in, like, rapping? Freestyle
yeah,
rapping?
that's right, man.
Okay.
So I would freestyle with my homies all the time. And I kind of incorporated the written structure of like a freestyle or a few bars into that of poetry, and I kind of fused them together, man, and tried to kind of get my own thing going, you know.
And I think a lot of that, I mean, we do a thing on 2 Inches Deep called Sad Boy, right? Sad Boy of the Week. I myself am a sad boy. Our executive producer over here, Jeremy Beckner. By the way, we're on the camera right now, so everyone say hello. This will be
What's
on
up?
YouTube, but we call ourselves sad boys. Alley Rock's not cool enough to be a sad boy.
Not sad enough.
Not sad enough. But would you say that part of being an author and part of being in some poetry and even rapping has some components of being sad or getting your heart broken or some sort? I mean, did you ever have to feel that? And is there any sort of sad components in Focus and Falling?
Oh, absolutely, man. And, you know, that's what really started it as well, was I wanted to flex on my ex. You know what I mean? And I had my heart broken before, man. And, you know, sometimes when you're in a place like that, there's only a couple different directions you can go, you know. And some of the best artists you've ever heard have channeled pain into art, you know. And I kind of wanted to do that, you know. And maybe not intentionally, but that was definitely the motivation I had, you know.
Right.
You're like, here's my book. What'd you do with your life?
Yeah. How did when you flexed on your ex? How did that go? I mean, did she realize that a lot of this was suited towards her a little bit, or?
You know, I keep it real ambiguous. You know, I'm no spiteful cat or anything like that, dude. It's all in good fun. But I wanted to channel the emotions I felt in a healthy way, in a constructive way. You know, I didn't want to be a loathing person. I didn't want to have these kind of pent up frustrations or anger and resentment and those kind of things that a lot of people deal with, man. And
I'm gonna just say this, dude. When you like write stuff like what you feel out, you feel way better.
Yeah,
about those feelings, you know.
Right.
You're just like,
amen.
You know.
And I felt like when I've written in no way, shape, or form have I written anything as good as Focus and Falling, but you know.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's really cool of you to say.
You'll start crying over
absolutely.
here.
No, he's a sad boy, man.
It's on camera.
He's a sad boy. It's a great book, but
No, and that's a euphemism that me and my friends would often throw around, dude, because I've always been like in the punk rock scene, in the rock scene, going to shows, and I've been around a lot of bands and musicians, and a lot of my friends are sad boys too, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
but what I was realizing when I've been writing is like sometimes you don't realize how sad or angry or even happy you are when you write that. Like it's just one of those things that actually comes out. And so what I was leading to is like, what was your inspiration and how did you know that you were ready to write a book? Like what goes into that?
That's a really dope question because for a long time I had found the concept of a book to be like a huge challenging obstacle, Yeah. It sounds mountainous and shit. But I was a little bit frustrated with the state of literature at the time. And the most popular book in recent memory is Rupi Kaur's Milk and Honey.
Yep.
And every girl and their mom has this book on their bookshelf, dude. And it's a great book, dude. I'm a fan of a lot of her work. I'm not hating, but I wanted to dive deeper into that digest of poetic expression. And I wanted to take the idea of micro poetry and create a whole page, make it a little more denser, add a little more nuance and narrative, and with my own spiel on it through rhyme structures and stuff,
You should take your time on this.
I don't mean to digress, but
I mean, because what I've read when I read Focus on Falling, there's a lot of times where it's so hard for me, and especially with today's literature, I can't get into a book. I can't do it. It is so boring and monotonous. But when I was reading it, I found myself in a lot of these situations where I was like, oh man, like I felt this before, and pain, joy, it's sorrow, a lot of it. And I was like, oh man, like that's relatable. And the one time that I can relate to a story is the one time that I can keep on reading.
Right.
But I mean, we've talked about it before in person, but there's so many books that come out here today where I just lose interest because
unfortunately
it's
that's
not
the
real.
truth. Yeah, man. And I couldn't agree more. As a fan, as an avid reader, I find myself reading mostly nonfiction nowadays, just for it's more catching because you're learning something, you're learning about something, right. Or documentary type shit. But I wanted to make literature more modern for the modern man.
Right.
As I kind of felt that it hadn't really caught up, and that's why the popularity of A Milk and Honey was so successful, where you have these 3-bar stanzas, or poems, and so there's this huge demand for that kind of thing, right. where it's not really our attention span, but maybe it's we have so much to do nowadays, and reading is a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful archetype of art,
Yeah. Especially when you can get into it. I mean, I think we can all remember when the first time you actually read like a chapter book or something, and you're like, oh man, like that shit was good. That shit was good. But there's been so many times when you go, for example, high school will have you read certain things and you're just like, dude, this is bullshit. Like, I don't want to read Jane Eyre. Like, what does this have to do with anything that I'm trying to learn?
Right.
And so I wanted to ask you, I mean, because this is your first book, obviously, and we're going to talk about your upcoming book, but like,
yeah, man.
how was the audience and the, not necessarily the backlash, but what was the receptiveness to you dropping this book, whether it was family, your friends, and stuff like that? Like, how did that go about when you first dropped it?
Well, the reception from, I want to say first, the writing community, was amazing, dude. And so I'm self-published, and what that essentially means is you're your own PR, you're your own editor, you're your own writer, marketer, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
And so with the advent of social media, you see so many people taking these kind of mediums in their own hands. And I was able to, the writing community has done just that, dude. There's a huge popular trend with poetry and literature in the last 5 years. And this is how a lot of these people, like, the rise of poetry as of late happened through Instagram.
Right.
And so I kind of, a little bit of fake it till you make it type stuff. And I just started publishing myself as an author, and kind of like, the reception from the writing community has been great, dude. And as far as like, man, I can't even express how surprised I was to see how many people thought it was as cool as I thought it was.
Right.
You know?
And you do a really good job on your Instagram. I know, so on your Instagram, I think your author page is Thuggish Dez, right?
Oh, yeah.
So everyone who's listening to this, go follow Thuggish Dez, because what you do on that page is really interesting, where you take an excerpt or even a poem and you post it, and then, I mean, that builds a sense of community. It builds a sense of community.
That's
where
my
people
personal
can relate to it.
Bad Guy Dez on Instagram, and Day of the Dez on Twitter.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, man.
Gotcha, man.
I like those names, bro. Those are cool tags.
Yeah.
That's pretty creative. Now, what I wanted to mention, bro, is when I read your book, parts of your book, because it is like divided into sections. Like each page, you get a whole new experience, and that's what I was really interested, bro. Because I haven't seen a book like this yet, and there are books like this, like in this structure, but this is the first time I've seen it, and I was like, yeah, this guy's onto something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure.
And I was like, because I can read about 20 of these and be like, yeah, I did something today.
Yeah.
I just read something today,
Right.
Because you're reading like one short story pretty much per page.
Right.
And you feel you're getting something done. Exactly. Different feeling, different. Something's going on different.
And I think that's the coolest thing about your book, man, is that like what I read might be a lot different than what Alex reads, and we might feel something completely different, but at the same time, it's still the same words being said. Right.
And that's the beauty of art, and especially of literature. There's a famous phrase that says, no two people ever read the same book.
Right.
And the medium, man, the linguistic medium of the written word is such a beautiful thing, dude. And like I said, I drew inspiration from rap. Rap was essentially rhythm and poetry. Mm-hmm. It came about with R&B, which was rhythm and blues.
Right.
Yeah.
But no one considers people like Eminem or Lil Uzi Vert to be great authors.
Right.
They're great musicians.
You consider them?
Kendrick Lamar, he's an amazing fucking writer.
There you go. Yeah.
But no one considers him on par with that of who should deserve a Pulitzer Prize.
See, and that's a
like
really
that,
good point, Des, is like, why do you think that the author community, the one that actually write novels and stuff like that,
right,
and the rapper or even the artist, whatever
way more
music
hype
you listen to, why are they so disconnected, do you feel like?
It's exactly that. As you said, you mentioned Catcher in the Rye or something or other. Yeah. Books have a tendency to be a bit abrasive. There's our cultures, they vary, and our subcultures, even in our communities and our different places, they vary, man. And a lot of historically, books have always had a tendency to get famous so many years after they've been published.
Very true.
So it's
we're still reading Jane Eyre. That shit's
exactly,
like 400 years old.
So it's different. People speak differently, and so just to kind of know what you just mentioned, I really like what you said, because I wanted to, and I don't mean to sound pretentious or anything. It's just my aspiration, dude. Is me speaking and with is my ambition, But I wanted to redefine literature. I wanted to contribute to an art movement that would be reflective of our time. I wanted to make literature more modern, but still draw upon the greatest art movements of the past and great authors of the past. So the structure of the book is drawn from influences like Bukowski or Jack Kerouac, and so it's nothing new, but I wanted to reinvent the wheel to make it more easy on the reader,
Right.
So
it is an easy read.
It is easy, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's sometimes where, like, I don't know about you guys, but I've read a book and I'm like, fuck, I got to go 3 pages back because I don't know what the fuck I just read.
No, you like really just like blank out because you're just reading words, right? And you're like, what the fuck?
And the thing about Focus and Falling is that, like, you can read 3 or 4 poems, but you will remember one thing where you're like, oh, fuck.
Because like it's like you said, bro. You're talking about rap, and I didn't know that rap stands for rhythm and poetry.
And a lot of people
you just shook me. I was like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Rhythm and poetry?
Like a R&B, rhythm and blues.
He said that so like nonchalant.
Like, it was like second. I was like, now people just learned something today. People just learned something today. Rap means rhythm and poetry. Yeah. But like you said, when I'm reading this, bro, it's like you made me a rapper in this book, bro. I was like spitting bars in my own head. I was like, whoa, this goes nuts.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I love musicians, and I don't throw any shade at anyone that is a musician. It's just such an endeavor. It's hard fucking work being a musician, man.
Oh, for sure.
It takes such heart and such commitment. And so I don't throw dirt at anyone who's in the music game, but I just don't have the heart to be a dedicated musician. But I wanted to channel my creative structure, dude, the use of syntax and written word and multi-syllabic rhyme schemes and stuff like that to resemble hip-hop, you know? So it draws that inspiration for sure. But you're getting nuances of Bukowski, and you're getting nuances of modern times mixed with ideas of existentialism, neo-romanticism, and modernism. So, you know, things that I think we're kind of collectively missing out on. You know, I don't know what future historians will call our current time period, because time periods are always defined by their art, by the art movements, you know, the eras, you know, so...
I have a question, and this kind of seems like a little out of the box question, but it just popped in my head because we're talking about hip hop and everything like that, and a lot of what hip hop has been the mumble rap, right?
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, I fuck with it, but I wanted to know, because you've written a book and like I just learned what rap actually stands for. Do you have a better ear of actually hearing what the fuck people are saying? Because sometimes, like, I'll listen to something, I'll be like, yeah, this slaps, but I have no idea what the fucking lyrics are.
They mumbled it over this shit, like, whoa.
Yeah, and so I was just wondering, like, when you hear a first song, can you actually listen pretty good and, like, understand what they're saying or see the poetry and the rhythm and stuff like that?
Sure. You know, I was a bit like that at first, but it's exactly the same. I'm a big fan of metal. Mm-hmm. And you know, music with heavy vocals, screaming, inaudible screaming.
Right.
People would often consider it, but you know, it's quite similar, dude. These people kind of redefine genres in their own fashion, and you can develop an ear for it. It's an acquired taste, oftentimes, even in the worst case scenarios. But there's a little bit more than there's something in linguistics. There's something in the transmission from my expression to you through an artistic communication that can almost be an applied subjectivity. So art is like this applied subjectivity where I want you to see kind of what I see. And so when you express that through music or through mumble rap, you know, you're really painting a picture that's
what you're trying to say.
Exactly, in a certain depth.
Do you think that now...
with cadence and shit.
Right. Do you think now that in 2020, because this has been a challenging year for everyone...
Yeah, man.
Do you think that there's going to be a lot of more expression, like artistic expression? Are you suspecting that? And even then, has it affected you? Have you seen some things that have gone around you? I mean, dude, we opened up a restaurant together, like, holy fuck, like...
Yeah.
How is your imagination and everything? Is it always growing now with everything going on?
You know, these are definitely surreal times we live in, man.
Yeah.
And I can only hope that people really draw inspiration from this.
Yeah.
And create something out of it. You know, and we've seen that with all the major events in history. And, man, I can only imagine. But, you know, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's just to speak on the beauty of art that we've been only hearing through art forever so long. You know, the injustice and certain awarenesses and... you know, certain nuances to, like, the better things in society people have been chanting about, and only through art, you know? So it always kind of happens with art first. You know, art is almost a reflection of the people always. Right. And so you'll hear about these things first, and then, you know, the times we're living in now, man, that I think that, you know, I'm a big fan of, like, this idea that the night is always darkest before dawn. I love the concept of things arising from the ash. You know, I think that anything destructive is, as it be, will create something in equal proportion of something beautiful.
That was well put.
Well said.
We might have to quote that and put that as our post. That was excellently put.
It's supposed to be a little bit deep and nuanced.
Speaking of deep and nuanced, if everyone could turn to page 84, it's called Mirror. And I don't know where your memory is with a lot of stuff that you've written, but this one deeply got into me. So Des and I
Sus.
Hey, pause.
Got into you, dude. Anyway.
But Des and I met in, I think we opened up in March. So yeah, March of 2020. And you know, this last year and a half has been really interesting for me. We've talked about it on the podcast before and everything like that. But if you don't mind reading that to us, and then I just kind of want to talk about the way that I interpreted it, and then if we can just have a dialect about that, that'd be really interesting to me if you guys don't mind. So Des, if you could read Mirror for me, that'd be great.
Yeah, man, this is a really interesting one. If you don't mind, I'll take a little swig of this moose head first.
Go ahead, bud.
Clear out the throat.
Yeah, this is a cool one, man. So it's entitled Mirror. Lost in the ocean, gazing at the sun. Lost in time, lost in space, gazing at my own reflection, perturbed. The reflection stares back assumingly, reaffirming our mind's perceptivity. Isolated in consolation, caged in constellation, enraged in a frozen hesitation, lost in the motions of it all. Thoughts and reflections of the sun.
Go off.
Right. And so this is what I want to talk about, right? Because
Sure.
it takes a little bit to get in. But our executive producers here, Jeremy Beckner, also goes by B-Harp, right? What's up, my guy?
Hey.
We did this passion project, right? And I feel like a lot of what, like you said before, Focus and Falling is a passion project.
Yeah, man.
So I did this passion project called Sad Boy 2.
Hell yeah.
And there's a scene in there where I literally look at myself in the mirror. And to the common eye, it kind of looks like, oh, this guy's just like checking himself out or something like that. But like I said, 2019 and 2020 was such an interesting year for me where I look at this, I look at Mirror,
right,
and it's like, holy fuck, that's me. That's me looking at myself. And and then now you could fast forward to 2020, it's like, holy fuck, like you look outside and there's history happening right now as we speak. And so when I'm reading this, and when I first read this, I think I bought this off of you, Des, in like April or May.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't where it was today. But now that I reread it, and I just turned to it, and it has highlights in it, I'm like, holy fuck, like this is me. And that's the interesting thing about Focus on Falling is, like I said before, what you can find in yourself, when you read this, you can find so many similarities in yourself, like where each person has a different narrative, and a different theme and a different message behind it. Where, you know, I may feel something different than Alex felt in this one, but I find it so interesting, and so I just kind of wanted to know, like, when you write stuff like this, did you have a purpose behind Falling, or can you remember each little short story that you've written in here? Does it have a meaning, or is it just kind of one of those things where it's just like we can all feel this in different ways?
Yeah, absolutely, both of those and every bit of that, because I wanted to make it so you know, people aren't all too different. You know, the human experience has its margins, its parameters. And we tend to go through these trials and tribulations in life, and you'll often find as you go through life that a lot of people share in a lot of these same experiences and a lot of the same hardships. And I wanted to encapsulate my hardships, but I didn't want it to be making it sound like it's all about me, you know. Right. I wanted it to be about us, you know, and it's just very easy for me to kind of, I want to say, empathize, or it's not hard for me to imagine that a lot of people go through the same things, you know.
Right.
And the perils of despair aren't too off from anyone's reach.
Amen, man.
Deep.
Amen.
That's fucking deep, bro.
There's
some dark shit in this book, bro.
For Focus on Falling, that's by far my favorite.
That's really cool that you said that, man, because that book kind of notes back to the idea of polymorphism. There's a lot of patterns and linear ideas in this book that I reference from things that I kind of believe in, if you will. Like I studied a lot of Egyptian type culture and stuff, and so they believe that the sun was actually conscious and that the sun has its own consciousness. And
sun god.
So I kind of poetically tied that idea in with the idea that reality kind of it has this tendency to be a mirror for our own lives, you know.
What I just noticed there is that, you know, a sad, you could say Des is a sad boy.
Yes.
And he resonated with another sad boy.
Right.
I resonated with him. So
See,
way to connect, bro. Like that
Right,
was,
but
it was special for
yeah,
me.
that
to see.
means something, man.
But the
Yeah.
thing
I think
about
that shit's
mirror
cool as
is
fuck.
like, what if you look in yourself, like in the mirror, and you
Well,
just
that I
see
did.
a happy,
See, I
happy
didn't.
guy?
When I read Mirror, I didn't think of that. I was like the sun. I was thinking about the sun.
See.
But you're thinking about yourself. So I see.
So Des, I wanted to fast forward a little bit. You're in the process of writing your book right now, correct?
Yeah, man.
And where are you at in that process?
Well, I'm pretty happy to say that I have well over the amount of pages that I wanted to write down. The book is planned to be 208 pages. I have well over 200 pages. So it's just a matter of getting into the production stage. And
Right.
unfortunately, with everything that's been going on, it's been really hard to kind of be in touch with people and certain illustrators I like to contact. So I'm kind of shy on graphics at the moment. So that's the only thing that I'm lagging as of now. And then I'm going to get into the production stages. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Is it going to be the similar style of Focus Upon?
So it is, man, and it's going to be that and a little bit upgraded, man.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer of upgrading, and I think everything should always be a little bit better than the last
Right.
thing. And you know, this book I often equate it to like a mixtape or something because it's like you hear a mixtape and it's not like a debut album. You know, it doesn't have all that firepower behind it, but this next one, man, I put a lot of hard work into, and fucking, I'm really excited about
We're
it.
for
man.
sure
I'm
gonna
stoked.
promote it for you, bro, because we
bro,
believe in you,
and
man.
when it comes out, we'd love to have you
stoked.
back on, and we do
Oh,
the
yeah,
same
man.
thing where we
I'd
read
love
it and
to.
everything like that. I wanted to know, what is your memory like in some of these? Like, can you
Yeah.
actually recite some of these stuff, like your favorite ones, or
One that means the most,
like
most
how?
meaning.
Yeah, is there a certain one that means the most to you?
I mean, I bet some of these did not come straight off the dome. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure it took time. It had to take
right.
time.
Some of
I mean,
these are
we
like I had to
talked
come
about
back to this one later. Like shit. Because I know when I was in my senior year of high school, I took up like rapping. I thought rapping was like I could make it there somewhere.
it. Sure.
So what I did is I made like a Finsta, which is like a fake Instagram, and I did lyrics on my camera. I posted a picture and did like lyrics, and people would be like, "This is pretty good. Like keep going." You know, I didn't have any a beat to it or anything. It was just lyrics,
Yeah.
and I just write down my thoughts and shit. People
Yeah,
were like, "Wow,
man.
it's pretty fucking cool."
Right.
And they were excited to see me keep doing that every day.
Yeah.
Likewise with this book, it's just a series of different poems, bro.
Right.
So let us hear like what's if you have one, like a meaningful one to you.
Off the top of the dome?
If you
Or-
can,
yeah,
or
if you
Yeah.
to.
Let's see if I can remember the whole thing. You know, I did remember a lot of them, man. And I've just been working on this new book so much. It's kind of eluded me a bit.
right.
But I do consider myself somewhat memorable in a lot of these.
You know what I mean?
There's this one called Lost. In the beginning goes like this.
Dude, you crazy? Because I just had that one open. It was like page 24, dude.
Oh, see? Hey, where's it at?
That's
No.
so crazy. I was just thinking about it.
Lost. Aloof and I'm lost. Admittedly far from the spool, I've been tossed. Stick to the green, learn to follow the moss. Might get pinto beans, but no, I flow in the sauce. The streams from behind the scenes, the boats we row, but at what cost? No, I don't
Dude,
wanna
like,
fuck
Okay,
that's
dude,
so,
I don't
that's so
wanna
crazy.
mess
'Cause
I don't want to mess it up.
the first verse, bro. The first verse you nailed it because I was looking at it earlier and I was like, yeah.
What you guys don't realize is
I gotta
this
finish
was
it now.
Like, you guys will see on the camera, we're raving again. What you guys don't understand is that was straight off the fucking dome. Straight off the dome. Like, he just remembered that shit.
Out
like
of
it was
like out
nothing.
of the 100-something pages that are in here, he that's a lot to
Right,
remember.
and you gotta think is he's taking in a whole nother fucking book right now where it's like that's taking most of his energy and his time and thoughts. Like, he just did that shit off the dome. And so what would you say?
No, you gotta let him finish.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I gotta finish it, man.
For sure.
Aloof and I'm lost. Admittedly far from the spool, I've been tossed. Stick to the green, I've learned to follow the moss. Might get pinto beans, but no, I flow deep in the sauce. Streams from behind the scenes, the boats we row, but at what cost? Feel it in my spleen every time we take a loss. Big pool, it's serene, can't hesitate. Too often I'm often lost in thought. Show you effect, couldn't tell you the cause. Big city swept away. But I know flying eagle, I know bear paws. I've been knowing people lie since I found out about Santa Claus. I studied the physical laws. Don't know what to do with my weekend, so I fidget a little, daydream. Again I say nah, I think would I die for my cause? I know you don't floss. It's a digital maze we're in. I think somebody hit pause.
Oh my
Alright.
god.
J. Cole who?
Oh my god.
Listen,
J.
bro.
Cole who?
Eminem's gonna hit us up when we post this. Like, bro, give me this.
Yeah, they're fucking shaking right now. Like, oh my god, this dude has fucking bars.
I try to drop some heat.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Do you think that you could have a successful, whether it was like ghostwriting or even just producing music right now? I mean, because those are fucking bars.
Yeah,
If a rapper dropped that right now, they'd be like,
I know, man.
That'd
be money. That'd be money, dude.
So, did you ever think about that as a career?
Oh, I would love being a ghostwriter. I love art and I love artists, man. And I need like a third lung to be able to really spit these bars. But no, the idea of ghostwriting would be sick, dude. If Drake hit me up, I'd be like, yo, let's go, man.
Drake would rock these beats, bro. He'd rock these lyrics, you know what I'm saying?
No, and I as many artists have, I have a tendency to emulate my favorite authors and my favorite rapper style. So as I'm ingesting things and I'm listening to things, and I hear things playing throughout my head all day, it's often like when I see a movie and I think, oh, that script was kind of whack, like I could have wrote that better,
right?
You know, so I'm dropping better bars over the beats I'm hearing as I'm listening to them, and these things stick with me, and I have to put it down and make a narrative out of it and add a quality of literature to it.
So that brings a good point, Des. Is there ever a time where you see people? I guess this is a good example. Is when we're playing at night for night shift. We started this whole thing where each person gets the aux one night, and some people will shit on my music. But is there a time where you see people like overhyping a song, and you're like, dude, this dude is not even fucking dropping knowledge. Like, this shit fucking sucks.
Yeah, man, big time. But you know, there's such a beauty to the spectrum of music, man, and a lot of it is amazing, and maybe I'm a bit of an optimist, but I have an ear for like a lot of shit. And
maybe you don't see like what other people are seeing what the artist is trying to say, you know?
Yeah.
This artist made that song, took his time.
It's easy for me to vibe out to a lot of things, I'll tell you what.
Man, I bet, because like I'm a big Lil Uzi guy. I am,
yeah,
but
man.
A lot of people fucking hate on him for whatever reason.
And it makes me so mad. He really is.
I think he's a lyrical genius. I mean, I don't.
So what if Uzi read your book and you're listening to one of his songs and you hear like, hold on a second, that's my verse.
I've thought about that before.
You know, what are you gonna do?
Right.
That's a case.
I would be so happy, man. I couldn't hate. I'd be so stoked.
See, that's such a good answer, bro. Because like myself, I'm such a prideful fuck. This motherfucker's taking everything I'm working for.
Nah, I got this all day, man. This stuff doesn't stop.
Damn, man. So let me ask you this: we have our first sponsor, Dickie's Barbecue. We all work there. Has there ever been a time where you're at work and you're like thinking, like, whether it's a rude customer or you're fucking chopping up some brisket, you're prepping some stuff where you're like, damn, I can drop some heat right now about this.
Man, when I'm slicing up that brisket, I'm also slicing up some words, dude.
Are you?
I'm dropping up bars in my head, and one of the methods of writing I'll use is kind of bookmark certain thoughts I have. I'm often bookmarking and taking my thoughts and compartmentalizing them digitally in my phone. So I'll take a bar or an idea and I'll put it in my phone. I'm able to reference back to that and elaborate on that, go back to that and build upon it further.
Right.
But if I catch something, man, I gotta jot it down. I've probably lost billions of good ideas.
Yeah, it's funny you mention it, bro, because I'd be like that too sometimes. Because other people listen to songs, but I like to I pretend I'm featuring the song, so I started making my own shit up.
Yeah.
And there's times where I was in my when I really thought rap was gonna happen in my senior year, where I'd be driving my car and I'd pull over, and I'd go in my notes and I'd write something in my notes, and I'd be like, that was fucking worth it.
All right, here's another one for you fellas.
Go ahead, brother.
Please go ahead.
This one is called Television,
What
and page 98.
All right, go ahead, brother.
I'm there.
Shifting focuses fade, distant paths are paved. Listening to what the quantum static could say, but not even full Lotus could pull back the shade. Metaphysical facades, I can't even see the shape. I think we need to get out of this place. Point me in a direction where I can stay. Sometimes I can't see nothing. I think these walls are a cage. I feel like my ancestors. I'm never coming out of this cave. The always and distant and never translucent heart's fates. We make better sense from the sun's rays. Our eyes pretend demolition of days. We can't even see the shape. Love's great. It's a higher resolution that pays. Too bad I can't see nothing, as if my eyes were glazed. The gods are up to something. I'm always late. Shifting focuses fade. Distant paths are paved. There's layers to onions and we're stuck in this maze and I can't stop running until I know that you're safe.
Sad one.
Yeah, for real, dude.
That's a good one, though. Talk to me about this. So on page 98, there's an illustration to it. And what I see
Dorito chip.
is a sun.
Oh.
I see a sun.
I see a Dorito chip that's
What
hot.
do you see, Des?
It's the, well, it's that all-seeing eye, man. It's representative of that pyramid with the eye in it.
Okay.
Which is also
It's on the dollar
somewhat
bill.
indicative of my definition of the sun in this book.
Right.
So that's very accurate, dude. You know, the all-seeing eye and the sun are kind of synonymous in the theme of this book.
You know what I love about Focus and Falling too is that there's different styles of writing in each story.
Right.
Like you can see it in the different formats. Like it's so some of them are very formal and some aren't at all. And that's what's interesting is you can look at Milk and Honey and other shit like that where it's like, oh fuck, like this is neat. Like this is some real shit right here.
All right, here's a 86.
Let's go.
This one is called Attention. And I like that I did Attention after television because it kind of references the theme of the eye on the TV.
Okay.
And attention. My attention's kind of wide. Been a few years since I opened my mind. It's all contained within sight. Remind myself I'm alive as I'm taking a walk outside. I couldn't help but sigh. I suppose we're all a little blind. Space, matter, and time are all tied. Energy ignited when we were flirting. Read between the lines when she lied. Plato's theater, ripples in the curtain. The creatures are never featured behind the scenes on the strings like Tim Burton. Words go beyond how they're defined, beyond hurting. I'm always subjected to learning. We've been in a bind. Space knows I'm colder than ice. My matter matters. They want to play games with my life. I remind myself to be kind. Gotta play nice. The future's uncertain.
There you go.
Bro, these are bars.
What does that mean to you though? The attention. This poem. What does that mean?
Attention is awareness. And the theme of my third book that I'm working on low key is Pulsar 3. It's ambient awareness. And so there's this exciting theme throughout the book of awareness and this like, I don't know, man.
So is this foreshadowing like books like over here?
Yeah, man. There's
like,
some
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So
For
before we get like ending with this interview, I want to talk about your next book.
Yeah, please, man. Thanks.
How much learning did it take from Focus and Falling to go into this next book? Like, obviously you've seen mistakes that you've probably written in this one, which I don't see. But like, what drove you to write this next book?
Well, it's something that I really am trying to take pride in, man. I'm trying to throw these books as far as I can in terms of, you know, I want to shout my expression from the top of a high mountain. And this next book, it's a sequel, and it's a bit of a 2.0 in every way because, you know, it's going to have a lot of the same themes, but it's going to draw upon something better than that. Or just in terms of quality, man. I'm just so excited about it.
It's a lot better than what you would say.
You know, I've just kind of grown as a writer, dude. Not to tug on my own coattails, but it's just I've been writing so much, and so I just want to take a little bit more pride in it. You know, the first book was something that I had worked on through various relationships and various times in my life, and living in a bunch of different states, going all these adventures in my early 20s. And this last book is something where I'm really coming from a different place of like more of a composed mindset, whereas you know, half this book was written in this quarantine that we've been on, and the other half was written on a personal quarantine that I kind of took myself on this vow of silence. You know,
that was interesting. Personal quarantine.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
Actually interesting.
Well,
Holy shit.
what was the name of your second book, if you don't mind?
So the second book is called Spatial Significance.
Spatial Significance. All right, and I did hear in the beginning, and I give us a little snippet.
Yeah, man. You want to check some of it out?
Of course.
Let me read
dude.
a couple pages, man.
Please.
We're getting exclusive stuff. This is never before heard.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
never before
This is
heard,
a
man.
fucking prelude right here. This is
Only on 2 inches deep.
That's what I'm saying. We
Sorry,
fucking
man.
drop heat on here, featuring Des White.
That's right. And then the man who has 2 phones, one for business, one for personal.
That's right, dude.
Spatial Significance. And then just while we're getting stuff loaded up here, Focused and Falling is available on Amazon. Is that correct?
Yeah, man.
That's right. Go check it out. It's by Des White. Focused and Falling by Des White on Amazon. Go get your copy today. Support the guy. Support his second book. Is going to be coming out soon.
So here's one that's off the new book, and I wrote this in light of the recent protests and the Black Lives Matter movement.
Okay.
Because I've always, been against police brutality. I myself have been a victim of police harassment, just being an adolescent kid, drinking in the fucking streets as a kid growing up and stuff like that, hanging out in high school. And as my heart goes out to that kind of thing, so I wanted to know what I could do, and I kind of channeled this really cool poetry that I dedicated to it that I'm including in the new book. So it's called Dreamcatcher.
Okay. Breaking news here on New Inches Deep. This is something unreleased. Mm-hmm. Unreleased. So
Dreamcatcher from Special Significance by Des White. Come on, guys.
That's right, man.
There's a dream catcher at the door, so we don't often leave to explore. It's all on the floor. We are all the night. We need a new romanticism. Our arts need revived. Ways to appreciate the world and the beauty of life. In the face of death, a new fanaticism. With life, free to find light. We are all the night. The abhorrent trace of futility and feudalism. A match lay barren, ready for the strike. The racial and factual plight. The strange ability of ourselves to have ourselves create more division like knives. And the courts are still crooked. It's just a new edition of something segregated. I think the fruit is now ripe. My colored Cherokee ancestor had this vision. We are all as kites, and there's a dream catcher at the door. So soften our dreams that we ignore. Authoritarian structure, hierarchy, for real. To discover the allure of interior decor is human potential. We are all wings that soar, shifting shuffled wide through violent revolving door. And many cannot be silent anymore. I'm in the wound. If we must have police, don't throw salt in the sore. As we walk under moon, fighting under monsoon, our tomb like common ancestor. We are all as life animated. We are color, we are cartoon. I'm a carbon-based laid back, laughing baboon, assuming we are all black magic. I was in the back blasting Illmatic when I spotted a futuristic witch fly away on smart broom to Saturn. America lacks true inclusion like the place of the Alaskans. End police prejudice is all many could be asking. Many made the mess, and we scream for napkins. We hear the audience clap and show you a sea of thieves. Show you a thin blue line. Support our police. We could find peace at ease. Respect, grieve, and unwind. Respect the darkest times, because there's never been a better sign. Police abuse is never okay. We can repair our vines. Respect ourselves verified. Heal ourselves wherever we are sick in society's collective mind. The sun reclines when we don't all shine. There's an easy answer to this problem, and you could hear it in the wind chimes.
Bro, holy fuck. That's some bigger picture shit by Lil Baby right there, bro. That is some